Hello and welcome, my dear friend. You know, there's something even more sacred than love, and it's trust. Love is expansive. It finds you in your weakness. It surrounds you. It saves. But trust is intimate. It's personal. It says, I see what no one else sees, and I still place this in your hands. Not only do you trust God with all of you, but God trusts you. And that matters more than anything in this world. Even if no one around you ever sees it, even if no one ever claps, you know it. And that's enough. And deep down, you know this was never random. You weren't given a heavy life because you needed to be humbled. You were entrusted with weight because God already knew something about you that you hadn't fully remembered yet. He didn't just love you, He trusted you. Not with comfort, not with ease, but with spiritual assignments disguised as burdens. And here's the thing, you came out of all of it, with your integrity intact. You didn't just survive, you survived with softness, with a heart that still knows how to feel, and a soul that still knows how to stand. That's not normal, that's not common, that's sacred. The things you've had to carry, the things no one saw, no one helped you lift, no one could name, weren't accidents. They were evidence. Evidence that heaven considered your shoulders strong enough for what others would have dropped. Not because you were better, but because you were built differently. And the wild part, you didn't ask for this. You didn't ask for the insight, or the dreams, or the grief that shows up uninvited. The kind that doesn't belong to a moment, but feels like it belongs to generations. You didn't apply to be this kind of vessel. You were selected. So when people ask why you're different, why you pull back when the room gets loud, why your smile doesn't always mean ease, why you carry that strange mix of softness and steel in your eyes, it's because you've been entrusted with something sacred, and you've learned how to walk without dropping it. You don't need to be told how rare that is. You've lived it. Years of emotional restraint, spiritual isolation, learning how to be your own witness when the room goes silent. That's trust. Not the flashy kind, the eternal kind. Most people think being trusted by God looks like promotion, a title, a blessing, a public yes, but divine trust? It shows up in hidden endurance, in carrying things in your spirit that no one will applaud you for, until long after you've already made peace with not being seen. And yet, God saw it all. He saw every time you didn't retaliate, every time you prayed when it felt like nothing shifted, every time you could have collapsed but stayed quiet, every time you let the fire burn inside you without letting it touch someone else. That's what trust looks like in the kingdom. You weren't just trusted to hold the weight, you were trusted to hold it well. Not by shutting down, not by hardening, but by staying close to Him, even when you didn't understand why He was so quiet. That's a level of maturity no one teaches, but heaven counts it. Every time you forgave without a headline, every time you cried behind closed doors and still encouraged someone else, every time you gave peace when you had none left for yourself, you were qualifying for a reality you couldn't even see yet. And now, it's shifting. Not because God suddenly sees you differently, but because you're finally starting to see yourself through His lens. You're realizing the weight wasn't just resistance, it was refinement. The way you've carried it all, without spectacle, without self-pity, without trading your softness for safety, that has made you into someone heaven can trust in any atmosphere. This next chapter isn't a gift. It's what happens when you've been trustworthy with the unseen. So here's the truth. God didn't just keep track of your faith. He kept track of your restraint, your self-control, your quiet obedience in rooms full of noise. He didn't just notice when you trusted Him. He noticed when He could trust you. And that's what most people will never understand. They'll see the fruit, but they'll never know the roots. They'll admire your light, but they won't know how many nights you cried in the dark just to keep it lit. They'll think your calm is natural, but you'll know it was trained in fire, because heaven didn't hand this to you casually. This wasn't a gift. It was a spiritual assignment, wrapped in silence, wrapped in misunderstanding, wrapped in weight that would have crushed a different kind of soul. But you carried it with reverence, and God never forgot that. Here's what's unfolding now, and you don't need to chase it, prove it, or earn it. Because of how you've walked, because of how you've listened, because of how you've continued to show up even when it cost you. There are doors that are being opened for you without announcement, not because of your effort, but because of your consistency in private. This is where divine trust turns into divine transfer. And don't be surprised if the next chapter of your life feels like a room you weren't invited to. That's how it will start. But here's the truth. You weren't invited, you were sent. Not because you needed validation, but because God is placing you where trust is needed more than titles. Where your calm will steady leaders, where your words will activate healing, where your presence alone will expose lies. Because spiritual trust doesn't show up as applause, it shows up as a placement. You've already proven you can handle being overlooked. Now heaven's going to show you what happens when you're finally seen by the right ones. Not by the ones who need your energy but won't honor it. Not by the ones who only understand you when you're useful, but by the ones who recognize this one carries something holy and it's not for show. You're not being promoted, you're being revealed. There's a difference. Promotion suggests you went higher, but revelation means what was always there is now being seen. You've carried divine qualities for years. Compassion that breaks generational cycles, discernment sharp enough to protect without ever using a sword, patience that most wouldn't notice until it saves someone else's calling. You've carried it in silence. Now God is saying, it's time to move with the same authority, but without the same weight. Let me tell you something personal. The reason the warfare increased wasn't because you were going the wrong way. It was because the enemy recognized what you were carrying. He doesn't attack empty vessels. He attacks the ones carrying oil. And you were carrying more than you knew. But now you're no longer just carrying it. You're becoming it. This isn't just about surviving anymore, it's about stepping into your spiritual role. Not for attention or applause, but because heaven whispered, this one can be trusted with more. So what do you do now? You walk with it. You honor it. You speak from it, but only when necessary. You love with it, but without rescuing people who haven't asked. You protect it, not because it's fragile, but because it's rare. You don't need to justify the fire in your eyes, or the tears in your prayers, or the way your presence unsettles people still addicted to spiritual surface. You know why you're here, you know what you carry, and more importantly, God does too. So if you felt like you were being watched lately, if you've sensed something evaluating your spirit, your tone, your thoughts, you're not imagining it. You've been in a divine evaluation room, not to disqualify you, but to confirm that your private alignment is now strong enough for public trust. You've passed. It's already done. The shift is in motion, and you'll feel it through a peace that finally doesn't go away when the world starts shaking. That's what divine trust brings, not status, stability. God doesn't just love you. He entrusted you with things fragile people would have misused. He trusted you with a spirit that could have gone bitter, but chose reverence. He trusted you with silence, and you turned it into wisdom. Now, He's about to trust you with more. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.